All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast. It's a beautiful afternoon here in sunny South Florida, somewhere in South Florida. We're joined here this afternoon with a candidate for Broward County School Board, District number 7, Miss Cynthia Dominique. She's here joining us this afternoon, and she's going to be telling the voters here in Broward County why they should vote for her as the next school board member in District 7. So, Miss Dominique, welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. You're welcome. Good to have you here. We know that the rain kind of slowed us all down a little bit today, but needless to say, we're here.
We're here.
On time. So let's start out by Miss Dominique by just having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and whatever you'd like the voters of Broward County to know about you.
Sure. So again, good evening. My name is Cynthia Dominique. I'm running for Broward County School Board in District 7. That is the cities of Margate, Coconut Creek, Deerfield Beach, Lighthouse Point, Pompano, and Hillsborough Beach. Don't get it confused with your city commission districts or your county commission districts. I know that it's so confusing, but if you live in those cities, you can vote for me. I grew up right here in Broward County, Florida, born and raised, graduated from Coconut Creek High School. Go Cougars. I know there are haters out there, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're Bucks up here.
Deerfield High.
So this community is my home, and you know, this mission is really personal to me because you know it's where I grew up and it's where I raise my kids now. I have 4 beautiful children who attend Broward County Public Schools. Noah is going into 1st grade. Zoe's going into 3rd. Preston is going off to middle school. And Alana is going into 7th grade. So I have a child with special needs, significant special needs. And I also have 2 who are in gifted and 1 who is somewhere in the middle. And I love them all just the way they are and celebrate their uniqueness. And I am also a nurse practitioner. I currently teach at the university. I teach psychiatric nursing. And I served in the Army 23 years, and that's certainly been a joy.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll tell you, you know, a little bit more about me growing up here in Broward County. My mom, when she initially came to this country, not really knowing the language, she never had the opportunity to learn to read or write. And so those experiences really shaped who I am as a person. She wasn't always able to advocate for me in ways that I needed, but she loved and supported me wholeheartedly. And another thing that I saw her do was serve other people. And so her service really cultivated in me a heart for serving to others. Even with what little she had, she always found a way to give to others. And so I've lived a life of service, whether it's serving this country in the military, serving this community as a nurse, working with vulnerable populations and psychiatric mental health nursing, or caring for children to elderly as a nurse practitioner. It's really been a pleasure. I've coached Little League's T-ball. That was fun. I also am a team mom for a special needs baseball team called Challenger League. They are an amazing organization. I've done lots of medical humanitarian missions abroad with the University of Miami or Project MediShare. And, you know, a little fun fact is I actually studied Chinese medicine in Taiwan while I was attending the University of Miami. So there's just all of these amazing life experiences that I had that shape who I am today. And I'm just glad to be here.
Wow, yeah.
Thank you.
Very impressive resume.
Yes, you do.
And more, like I said, thank you. Thank you very much for your service to our country. 20 plus years in the United States Armed Forces. That's impressive. So thank you again for your
Yes.
service. Yeah, I have to say that. All right. Now I heard you in your introduction of yourself that you were a nurse practitioner, which will kind of lead me into your first question as a nurse practitioner caring for patients. How has that experience prepared you to oversee a school district with a multi-million-dollar budget and thousands of employees?
Sure. So I've done collaborative practice. I've also done private practice. So managing business and client caseload. But I'll tell you, one of the most significant challenges that I've encountered in providing healthcare for people is their lack of insurance or resources. And so I've had to learn how to do a lot with very little, right?
Mhm.
And making sure that I'm stretching every dollar that patient has access to be able to afford the medications that they need, or get the care that they deserve. And so I think that ability to be able to manage resources is important. Working in psych, having to understand people and the situations that they are encountering, and being able to be sensitive to their needs, listen to them, make them feel heard, and be able to help them find solutions to their problems.
Okay. And if elected as to the school board in District 7, given your healthcare background, what changes would you advocate for regarding students with mental health services in Broward County schools?
Absolutely. So there are two parts of this. This particular year, I guess I missed some things in my introduction. For nearly the last 10 years, I have been serving as an advocate throughout Broward County Public Schools, on my PTA, on the School Advisory Council, chairing the School Advisory Forum at 2 schools. I chaired the North Area Advisory for 4 years, which represents all of the schools north of Commercial. And this past year, I chaired the District Advisory Council, which represents every single school student, in Broward County. And in those roles, I have been able to be in classrooms and listen to the challenges that teachers face. I've been able to walk alongside parents and students and hear their struggles, their needs, and their hopes and dreams. I've been able to collaborate with principals as we try to stretch school budgets to make sure we are able to retain staff and meet student needs, as well as collaborate across the district with different departments to implement solutions, because I believe in not being a complainer or a bystander, but always focused on solutions. And so this year, in my role as District Advisory Council Chair, we learned that many of our schools lost school nurses. And at this time, about 47 of those schools still were without school nurses by the end of the year. And I think that's a huge loss for our students, because many who don't have access to healthcare outside of Broward schools, this is their first line of healthcare, and for some, it's their only access to healthcare. And when you have a school nurse that is able to see a child every single day, and maybe they're coming in 4 out of the 5 days this week to use their inhaler, that nurse can then have a conversation with parents to say, hey, Johnny's been using his inhaler numerous times, more times than he really should be. You should have a conversation with the pediatrician about looking at some other preventative care. And when you don't have those nurses, you're not able to see those patterns in clinic usage in students. And the other piece is the mental health piece. I've spent many years working in psych. I worked at South Florida State Hospital on the floor, in a unit. I worked as a charge nurse leading a unit of 50 patients and 20 some odd staff. And then I also worked in the education department and informatics, helping to implement electronic health systems. So I bring that experience with me too, with project implementation. I did a lot of quality assurance type things and reviewing and revising policy in that role. But caring for people when they're at their most vulnerable is so important. And I was able to see the after effects, the sequelae of mental health conditions that were not addressed when they were younger. And our students are coming from broken homes. They are coming from the foster care system. They're experiencing trauma. They're experiencing bully. And now in this age of technology, they can't get away from it the way we were able to when we were younger. So they're constantly being inundated with pressures in this world. And sometimes as adults, it's easy for us to, we do some childism where we think these kids don't have any stress, but the fact is they do. They
Yeah.
also have the pressures inside of the school to do all of this testing that is required to excel academically. And they're constantly hearing, you've got to level up, and you scored a level 3 on the test. Now you've got to get a 5. They are stressed. They are stressed. They are dealing with a lot. So we have to strengthen our mental health care within the schools. And there are several ways to do that. One, we have various partners throughout the community that want to do work with Broward County Public Schools for free, whether it's Broward Behavioral Health Coalition, Henderson, Chrysalis. We need to strengthen these partnerships. We also, I think a couple years ago, the district implemented suicide prevention coordinators. And in this latest organization chart, I think some of them were cut. That's a huge miss, right? We need to make sure that we are not cutting mental health support when we actually need to increase, expand, and enhance access. We have social workers in our schools, but what I see is that they are often covering 2 to 3 schools. So we have an opportunity to have dedicated staff at schools so that they can meet the needs of those students. We have school psychologists, right? They are also covering several schools, and they have caseloads into the thousands. You can't truly evaluate the needs of students with that caseload, or you're going to see delays in getting to students who need. We also have mental health counseling available through our family counseling department, but not everybody knows that those exist. And they provide services in school. They also provide services out of school, but they're limited. So being able to meet the needs of students' mental health is critically important, and we have to be able to expand. We have to advertise and make sure that the community knows that these resources exist. There are schools that have the peer-to-peer counseling that we should strengthen. And then we also need to make sure every single adult working in our schools is trained in mental health first aid, so that when a child comes to them in crisis, they know exactly how to respond. And then we need to teach our kids resiliency at an earlier age. We need to teach tolerance and acceptance at earlier age, to make sure that all of our students feel safe and valued, seen, and heard when they're in school. Because the truth is, we can't get them to learn anything until they feel safe, secured, and their mental health needs are met.
That's well said. Well said.
Yes, Miss Dominique. We just learned right before school ended that the school board was faced with probably close to, maybe, I'm just guessing, I know hundreds of layoffs, close to maybe 1,000, and some jobs I heard were going to be eliminated through attrition. If elected to the Broward School Board, what can you do to alleviate more employees from being laid off in the upcoming year? Because I heard that it was another round, maybe 1,000 next year. And that's a whole lot for the amount that we were asked to pay through voting years ago for raises and for things for the teachers. How can you address that if you're elected to the Broward County School Board?
Thank you. So, addressing this financial crisis is multifaceted, right? So part of it will be through natural attrition of staff members who are retiring, moving, and whatnot. Part of it will be through saving measures, and that can look different ways. But then we also have to look at ways to generate revenue, right, as a district. Regarding the layoffs, I have been advocating from the very beginning of the school year as a district advisory chair that any layoffs not impact the classroom and not impact the schools. And we see where that didn't always happen. There were several schools that I had to reach out to the district and the chief of security about that didn't have adequate security. And that was one of the areas that should not have been impacted. But we had schools that were maybe supposed to have 5 security personnel, campus monitors, security specialists, an area manager that didn't have that. And risking the safety of students for me is non-negotiable. So we need to make sure we're prioritizing that we have adequate staffing in those safety and security positions. Earlier in the school year, they also eliminated 104 security positions. Those positions, they said, were vacancies. But what that tells me is we have to do a better job in either increasing the pay for those particular positions so that we don't have as much turnover and that we can have retention. But we have to get creative and we have to ensure that our safety needs are met. The other issue is that of these layers of administration that we see in our organization chart, and the layers of bureaucracy. And I actually think that we still have an opportunity where we can refine those layers a lot more than what we saw towards the end of the school year. We need more people doing the work. We need more people at schools. We need teachers in classrooms so that we can decrease the student to teacher ratio. Right now you have kindergarten classes that some have 26 students in them, right? State class size maximum says that should be 18. And so I always say we have to prioritize what we value. And we have to protect that immediate classroom learning environment no matter where we cut.
And a follow-up question to that, to go with that question there. Do you think the current school board members have done a adequate job overseeing taxpayers' money?
I think that we have opportunities. There have been instances where I've seen contracts come to the school board where maybe there wasn't enough information, or maybe those contracts hadn't gone out to bid, and they're coming up for a renewal. And I think where we have an opportunity is anytime a contract is coming before the school board, there should be an alternative, right? We should be making sure we're getting the most bang for our buck. The other piece of information that I would like to see is what is the benefit? So if it's a contract for technology, right? Student technology, how does it improve student outcomes? If it's a contract that has to do with staff, right? Or maybe some internal process, how does it make us more efficient as a district? Every single decision we make should be tied to outcomes.
Okay. And I was and back to what he was the original question about
Layoffs.
What about what are your thoughts on like early retirement? You know, you have people who's been working for the school board for 30 plus years, but they don't have the age. Could there be like an incentive for them to some kind of buyout? Like, hey, if you're within 1 or 2 years of retirement, we could let you all go and you could start collecting your pension. It might be a little cost to it up front, but in the long run, it'll save the school board, the county, the taxpayer some money, because that happened here in Deerfield. They had, a pension plan, and they did a study and everything, and they found that it was, beneficial to the city to let all these employees go. And it was a little cost up front, but it saved the city a whole lot of money. So what are your thoughts on early retirement? On the early retirement?
That was my little one coming in, his little.
Oh, that's all right. Well, look, we know exactly you do what you have to do. We know right. You have, this is live stream right now, but you're a mom first,
So, those are operational decisions, right? And the school board, you're not involved in those operational decisions. We can make suggestions. We can, give recommendations to the superintendent. But I was actually speaking to a former, a person who worked for the district yesterday, and she was telling me how that is exactly the situation she was in, working for the district. She was working at, I believe, as an office manager, and she ended up taking early retirement, and it ended up hurting her in the long run because she had to pay a significant amount out of pocket for health insurance and other things while she waited to be able to collect that pension. So I think those are decisions that every person has to weigh, right, for themselves and with their families to see if it's affordable. We're living in a time where people are facing so many financial challenges. So as much as a district, we need to save money, right? And we need to look at innovative ways of doing that. You can't legally force someone out.
Right.
But I think that everything is on the table. We should consider every single option when we're having these discussions about how to save money or how we streamline staffing.
That's especially for long-term employees. I think maybe what my brother might be alluding to, people who have been there a long time, over 30 plus years, and they're maybe a few years from retirement. Definitely that should be something that can be looked at. Definitely can be looked at.
Absolutely. Everything's on the table.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Ms. Dominique, teachers often say they need more support. What specific actions would you take for teachers and school employees?
Sure. So the first, they're going to tell you, pay us more, right? Yep. And we know that we will never truly be able to pay teachers and many of the staff who work at our schools what they are worth, right? But we can certainly try. And in terms of paying, I always say we can give a raise, but if most of your raise is going to pay for health insurance, we've done nothing, right? So not only do we need to increase base pay, and we need to do it in a way where those who have been teaching for many, many years see a difference in their paycheck too. Because one of the things that I hear often is where you have teachers with many years of experience are making the same as a new teacher, because as we increase that base pay, they're not really seeing the differences. We need to make sure that insurance is more affordable for our teachers and staff. We often task them with additional duties. So we should look at increasing the supplements for those additional duties. And we really need to make people feel valued and like they have professional autonomy, not just feel like they have professional autonomy, but actually afford them professional autonomy. I strongly believe that people who come to work for Broward County Public Schools, people who choose to become a teacher, like me, I teach at the university. We know we're not getting rich off of it. There is certainly not, you're not going to get rich in teaching. You're doing it for the love of preparing the next generation who are going to be leading our society. there are other things culturally that we can do. Many teachers feel like there's a lot of administrative pressures that are on them that we need to look at. Um, Teachers are feeling stressed about these pacing guides, like they've got to stay on track and meet these deadlines. And sometimes they feel like they're not even able to stop, remediate for students who need it, or to be able to provide nuanced interventions for students who might need it to be able to excel or catch up. And so they want autonomy to be able to do that. Another thing that we've been really advocating this year was for a reduction in testing, right? We know that state testing is required. There are some things that need to be rectified with state testing, making sure that what students are being tested on is actually the standards, which we've heard that there are some incongruencies on, but also it's the testing that is required by Broward County Public Schools. Some of the testing the district says is optional, but many teachers and administrators don't feel that it is optional. And so we have to be clear in our communication. If we say it's optional, then you don't penalize anyone for not doing it, right? We know that we still need measures for accountability to ensure students are excelling academically, but we have to find ways to be able to create a culture that honors the professionalism of teachers, allows them to practice the art of teaching, because truly we want our people to be excited to come work for Broward County Public Schools. We want them to love going into that classroom every single day and knowing that they're making a difference in the lives of children. So we have many opportunities, but really what it's going to start with is listening. Because anyone coming into this telling you they know exactly how anyone feels, well, every single school is different. Every single classroom is different, right? And we have teachers that teach in schools. We have teachers at the district level. We should be listening to all of our staff, hearing what the needs are, and really being intentional about implementing solutions to those needs.
And I also heard you say, Ms. Dominique, about stress. And I'm quite sure the layoffs are not potential layoffs that could come in the 2026-27 school year, or 27-28 school year is definitely not going to help all the teachers and other support personnel around the county.
Absolutely.
I got another question to go with. When you said earlier, 104, I wrote down 104 security positions have been eliminated. And I know school safety always will remain a major concern since the Parkland shootings. What additional measures do you believe Broward schools should implement?
So safety and security is multifaceted. There's not one thing that you're going to implement that is going to be the number one success of safety and security. I remember, working in psych, we would do these safety checks, right? And we would make sure staff didn't get complacent in their safety checks because the patients got really creative in where they would hide things, right? Or put things, what we call contraband. And so you have to have multiple layers of safety and security interventions to truly be able to keep our students and staff safe. The first is those physical security measures, right? Fencing, perimeter fencing at schools, making sure those external doors are locked, making sure we have adequate barriers, really reinforcing single point of entry. And I get it. Sometimes, people get comfortable and they're like, oh, but you know me. It doesn't matter if it's your mom at the door. If she doesn't have that ID card to go into the school, we can't get complacent with these measures. Earlier this year, I reached out to Chief Gregory and I said, one of the places I see we have opportunity is when people are out and someone is covering for them. We need a quick reference guide so that anybody who is covering for someone else is able to review those safety and security processes and measures and be able to implement it. So we need those physical security measures. We need to strengthen processes. This is where I feel like we have a huge opportunity in Broward County Public Schools is we need good standard operating procedures and processes in different places, right? And that's something that the superintendent will really need to do as it's operational. But having those fortified processes, not getting lax in safety and security. We know that we have metal detectors, but they're not a be all end all. And to truly operate metal detectors the right way, you need at least 3 staff members to do it correctly. You need someone monitoring the flow going in. You need someone checking those backpacks should they sound off. And you also need someone who's doing the wanding. And so that is extremely, that's personnel taxing to be able to do it. And it only protects us wherever those metal detectors are. So we can't rely on any one measure to keep us safe. We used to say in the Army, everyone's a safety officer. Everybody's a safety officer. We're all responsible for safety. We need to make sure that we're not getting lax in our processes and procedures, and that everyone is on it and vigilant when it comes to safety. And we also have safety included in the referendum that's on the ballot this year. So hopefully I will ensure that those funds are utilized to strengthen our safety and security.
Okay. I didn't see that. I'm glad you said that. I mean, I haven't saw all the referendums yet. I hope to try to find them, but so you say it is something for safety on the referendum this November?
Right. So the referendum will include supplements for teachers. And this is why, I support the referendum, because without it, we might have a mass exodus of teachers leaving Broward County Public Schools, and we can't afford that, right? They're critically important to our student success. But it will also include mental health and safety and security. So 90% should be going towards teacher bonuses, and then the other 10% for mental health and safety.
And all these raises and funding, better health care for the teachers and everything, of course, all of that costs money. And one thing that stands out to me right now is property taxes is going to be on the ballot in November. The governor wants to give the taxpayers, the homeowners in Florida, property tax relief. And it has to pass with 60% of the vote. And if that passes, the school board excluded the schools?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, that may be something, but if it excluded the schools, then that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that is a good thing.
They added that carve out, later. So property taxes still do go towards Broward County Public Schools, but something that many people don't know. And this is me doing lots of digging and research, because I really believe in being well-versed and knowledgeable about different topics. When I started as a school advisory chair and I had to sign off on that budget, saying that I understood it, and I'm putting my John Hancock on there, I was like, I don't know anything about budgets. This was almost 10 years ago. I don't know anything about budgets. And there were many other parents who were serving as school advisory forum chairs that had to sign off on budgets. And so what I did when I became North Area Advisory Chair, I collaborated with the district budget department, federal programs, and principals to put on budget training for parents and community members. And well attended, hundreds of people on those calls. We continue to do them yearly. And because of that, parents are now becoming more aware of the budget. And this year alone, we were able to get millions of dollars sent back to schools where they belonged, because of parents advocating on behalf of, budget needs. But to that point, Broward County Public Schools we're a cost sharing district. So we don't actually keep all of the taxes that we raise here for the schools. Part of that money is used to support smaller school districts, but I want to say we're at about 55% of the taxes we generate here do stay within Broward County public schools.
Well, not only every child that graduates from high school, not every child is going to go on to college. College isn't for everybody. And some people struggle to get out of high school. And again, like they say, they don't always go on to college. So what is your position on expanding career and technical education programs for students who may not choose a traditional 4-year college path?
2 words: do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. I was knocking on doors in Collier City a couple weeks ago, and I met this young man, and we were talking, and he was telling me that he also went to Coconut Creek High School. And I was like, okay, go Cougar. What year did you graduate? He said, actually, I didn't graduate. He says, high school wasn't for me. Like, school wasn't for me. He said, I was in those classrooms and I was very distracted. I couldn't focus. And so we're like, did you ever get diagnosed with ADHD? He's like, no, but I probably should have. But, there's that stigma surrounding, those conditions that we need to eradicate as well. But he said, but honestly, he's like, I didn't care about matching shapes and knowing obtuse angles. He's like, I didn't see myself going to college, right? So now he got into the asphalt industry, and he's doing well for himself. So if you look at my platform, I specifically advocate for not just expanding the programs, but making them more accessible to more students, right? So part of that will be addressing transportation challenges that students may have, as well as scheduling challenges that students may have. Like, for example, many students at Coconut Creek High School, they go over to Atlantic Technical, and they do those programs there. They have their schedule in a way that works seamlessly with Atlantic Technical. So if we want to be able to expand access or expand the programs, period, we need to make sure they are accessible. And to that point, many of these empty spaces that we have across the district, let's look at where we can put in more career and technical education programs into those spaces. The other thing is brace advising. Most students don't start doing that college and career advising until the end of their 11th grade year, beginning of their senior year. That's too late. It's too late. Many colleges, if it's college, have already started accepting students by then. There are tests that need to be done, or wait lists are filling up. We actually passed a motion several years ago in the advisory council to start that college and career advising in middle school. We have to be having those conversations earlier on and exploring different pathways for our students so that they can understand that it's not just college. As a matter of fact, our blue collar workers are the fastest growing class of millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely.
And also, Ms. Dominique, you talked earlier about layoffs, and I know you said teachers definitely should be the priority. If other budget cuts are necessary, what would be the hands-off positions you would take if you can? And I know that's asking a lot. What would be some of the positions that would be priority of no layoffs or hands-off positions?
So teachers are critical to that student-teacher relationship, right? They're that front line for students. But every single one of our staff that make learning possible are important. Our bus drivers, we already have a bus driver shortage, right? We can't afford to lose any people there. And I have some ideas there working with the transportation department. The district actually pays for the CDL training for people who want to onboard. but oftentimes they get that training and they go elsewhere, right? So we're not able to keep them. So we have to find a way to retain them. You have your counselors, your social workers, your ESE specialists, your support staff, your interventionist. Everyone is important. Our custodians are important, right? They make that environment welcoming to students. So there isn't one group that's more important than the other. All of our staff are equally important and make education possible for our students. We have to find ways to streamline processes, eliminate waste, be more efficient, so that we're not having to lay people off, especially those working in schools. And obviously, even in the district, there are people who do jobs that are critical as well, right? If we didn't have people in payroll, you don't get paid. If you don't have those support staff at the district, then who supports the teachers? So every role is important. We just have to figure out, with declining enrollment, how we downsize in a way that keeps the organization afloat, but also understands that we're caring for people. We're we have staff with children and lives and homes and their own bills, and so we just have to take all of those things into consideration. It's never going to be easy. We're never going to make everyone happy. And we may make a decision that people are going to criticize either way. But what I can promise you is, as a school board member, I'm going to make decisions with integrity, with good conscience, and in a way that prioritizes the needs of students and honors our employees and does best for the success of public education here in Broward as a whole.
And I want to follow up when you said one word earlier, declining about school closings, the declining schools are declining enrollment, I think was the word that you said. How would you address that, along with having to continue to close so many schools?
So the decline in enrollment is multifaceted as well, right? People are moving out of South Florida in droves because it's just unaffordable.
It is.
I spoke to someone today who said they bought their house for $130,000. It's now worth $1.7 million. So he can't purchase that same house today, right? Home insurance is through the roof. Taxes are through the roof. So there are lots of different factors that the school board doesn't have control over, that makes living here in South Florida unaffordable. And in many of the professions, we're at the bottom in pay. We're at the bottom for teacher pay. We're at the bottom for nursing pay. So it's a double whammy. So just as a Floridian, there are things that our communities need to push their legislatures to make happen in Tallahassee. So we need people getting civically engaged on that front as well, because there are those legislations that impact Broward County Public Schools. Two, we know that people are not having as many babies. They're waiting till much later. When you look at an age pyramid, normally it would be a pyramid, but now it's a plateau, right? People are aging more, and some of them are not moving out of their homes, so we don't have the turnover for new people to come in. But truly, there are so many hidden gems in Broward County Public Schools. We have amazing programs. We have amazing teachers and staff who pour their heart into kids every single day. We have innovative programs in schools. We have magnet programs. We have Collegiate Academy. We have Broward Virtual. How many people know that? And not only that, we have programs that support students who are houseless, students in foster care. We have social workers. We have all of these support services no one knows about, right? So when people are going elsewhere thinking that they're getting a better bang for their buck, We have all of these amazing things in Broward County Public Schools that nobody knows about. We have to do a better job of marketing, because
Mhm.
you know what? I've gotten those letters from those charter or private schools that say, congrats, your child's been accepted. Never applied to them. Right? But they're doing this outreach into the community. So we do need to look at putting, setting aside part of our budget for strategic marketing. People should know that there is a school down the street that is providing an excellent education to their kids. And if they feel like that school is not providing an excellent education to their kids, Broward Schools has the most opportunities for parent and community engagement. It's what I do, right? We work together to improve our schools. My kids, when we were looking at middle schools, I told my son, I said, we are not driving all around Broward County to send you somewhere else. We're going to go to our local school. And if there's anything that we don't like about it, I'm going to pour into it and I'm going to make it better. Right?
You just
and help get it to where I would like to see it.
Mhm.
you just mentioned parent and community engagement. And speaking of parents, some parents feel that their voices aren't being heard by the school board. What would you do to improve communication and trust with families?
That has been the core of so much of the work that I've done as an advisory chair. When I started this, I realized we have to do better. I created a communication and outreach team subcommittee as part of North Area so that we can focus on how do we get the message out. We ended up creating a Facebook group for the North Area Advisory Council so that we can engage more community members and share information out. I started doing school advisory forum training that was open to the public, where we were teaching parents and community members skills to advocate, ways in which they engaged. I actually partnered with the Family and Community Engagement Department and co-founded the Family Ambassador Program. We call them Fam Bams. And when we have events, we would have parents who had experience with Broward County Public Schools, and they would go out into these events. And we had shirts on that says, Family Ambassador. And on the back, it would say, been there, done that, let's chat. So that parents could come and get the support that they were looking for. So we need to strengthen those structures, right? 2, we need to do better outward communication. And I've been on the record saying about this. I don't want to hear about one more golf classic or, a show that's happening. I want to see that we're sharing pertinent information out to parents and community members early and often and transparently. The other thing is the policies that we create as boards should always seek to maximize community engagement. And so earlier, or a couple of weeks ago, there was a policy going to the school board that would effectively eliminate most community engagement at meetings. And I staunchly oppose that. We have to hear from our constituents. We were elected by them to serve them and to be their voice. Cynthia Dominique, cannot govern apart from the people who live in Pompano or Deerfield or Lighthouse Point or Hillsborough Beach or Coconut Creek or Margate. None of them. I am here. This is not my seat. This is our seat. It's our seat.
Okay. Now I'm gonna put this up and then I'll let you go. We have a comment from our audience out there. They said, "Good evening."
A few good ones.
That's awesome. However, not every parent has the opportunity, time, etc., to pour.
Yes.
Many of our parents are facing the need to work multiple jobs. How do we support those parents / village?
Excellent
That's
question.
from Crystal Hayes.
Thank you for the question, Crystal. I absolutely agree with you. And I always used to tell people, and it's the reason why I poured so many hours into the advocacy work. Remember, my mom couldn't advocate for me. She was a single parent. She was working 2-3 jobs as well. She didn't have time to always go to those meetings or a parent-teacher conference. It didn't mean that she didn't care. She cared enough to work 2 jobs to put food on the table and a roof over my head. And so just because people don't show up in a way that we think that they should show up does not mean that they don't care. They are doing the best that they can with what they have for their children. They care enough to go work those 2-3 jobs. And so I've already started scouring the community for places where I show up for you and make myself accessible to you, because you shouldn't have to find me. Right? You shouldn't have to find me. So if it's once the library in Collier City is done, I'll be there. If you live further east, I already spoke to the owner at Soulful Steve. I'm like, I'll be over there. If there's any, if I have to go to the laundromat on a Saturday morning when people are doing their laundry, I'll go there. I strongly believe in engagement. You meet people where they are. If I got to go to Sedan, whatever grocery store you want to see me at, we'll pick a spot and I will show up, because the community's voice is important. And for far too long, many communities have not had a voice, or they haven't been equally represented. And that stops here.
That's a good answer there. I like that. Go ahead.
And then the other thing that I'll add is, regardless of whether those parents are able to show up or not, they should not have to. We are a public school system. Our system should work well. Our students should get exactly what they need and what they deserve. I believe that every single child, no matter where they go to school, no matter their background, whether their parent shows up or not, they deserve to get the same standard of excellence.
Okay, and Ms. Dominique, what steps would you take to improve transparency between the Broward School Board and the public?
I mean, obviously we have our meetings, right? Everything is, all of the decisions we make as a board are public. I think sometimes what the public wants to see, maybe there are questions that board members may ask when they're in, meetings with staff or superintendent to get information to prepare for agenda items. But perhaps it's asking some of those questions in public and on the dais so that the public sees that you have considered these things. We have to respond to emails, right? When people reach out to us, people put public comments on agenda items. I believe that those should be read into the record and we should know what the community is saying. But it's making decisions in a way that considers the community, their voice, what their needs are when we're sitting up there. And then really holding, we have 3 people who report to the school board. That's the superintendent, general counsel, and the chief auditor. But we hold those people accountable, right? We set clear expectations and standards for them, and we hold them accountable. Mediocrity is not acceptable.
Exactly.
Failure is not an option. And we've accepted it for too long, and it has to stop.
Yeah. And I noticed too, Ms. Dominique, I mean, and if my memory serves me right, it's been I believe the school board police chief has been a position that no one really stays there that long. I wonder why is that position they can't get someone there and just stay there. I mean, it's like every so many years.
Revolving door.
Yeah, it's like a revolving door. It's like even now, I was just looking online and I saw the police chief, the Broward School Police head over that, the director, whatever the position is called, is up. And I'm just wondering, I've seen and read so many articles over the years, just wondering why they can't keep no one in that position. And I know you probably can't answer that, but hopefully you getting there, we can help get some stability there at that position. But I was just wondering why.
Well, and this is where, we have, because job descriptions do come to the board, right? So when we're looking at job descriptions, we have an opportunity there where we can provide input when it comes to renewing staff. The board obviously votes on that. Typically, you need good cause to not renew, but we need to make sure we have standardized and transparent hiring processes. We need to have standardized and transparent policies that address behavior for our staff and for our students, right? And, you know, we need to look at culture, because sometimes it's culture too, right? Is it the department? And that's where the superintendent would have to really do some looking into that department to see, are there culture issues that impact turnover rates? And then I strongly believe in doing exit surveys for staff members as well. When they decide to leave, why are they leaving?
And you mentioned the superintendent. Do you think he's doing a good job, an adequate job at his position?
So I think the superintendent inherited quite the handful for this district. There are things that he's done well, and there are things that he's done that I don't agree with. At the end of the day, as a board member, it's our responsibility to set clear standards and expectations for him and make sure he meets those standards. And again, you know, I used to tell, you know, people leading staff and having people report to me. We can be friends outside of here. But when I'm working as a nurse practitioner, when I'm in that unit, my patients come first, right? So when we're talking about leading on the school board, the students come first. The organization comes first. And that means having uncomfortable conversations. That means holding people's feet to the fire, right? That means being honest and transparent with feedback about what's going well and what's not going well, right? And this is where he has opportunities. You know, the school transformation office was probably one of those things that came out of the decision that he made that supported schools that typically struggled with academic achievement. And we've seen great gains in that area, right? But then we've also seen where there are opportunities with contracts, right? With referendum, with the org chart. But as a board, ultimately, we make the decision. So if the superintendent brings us a recommendation, staff brings us items, and we feel like we don't have enough information to make a well-informed decision, or we feel, you know, because everyone has to vote their conscience, we feel that it's not in the best interest of students, staff, and the organization, we can vote no, and we can send it back. We shouldn't feel like we're handcuffed into making decisions that we don't agree with.
And if you get a chance too, Miss Dominique, I would like for you to go back and read some of the comments in the chat, especially from Miss Crystal Hayes.
Yeah, she's putting a lot of comments.
She put a lot in there. Maybe you can go back and answer some of her comments that she put in there.
You can reply to them,
like if you choose to. But she put some very interesting comments in there about enrollment and how they're declined across Deerfield Beach from 2021 to 22. At Deerfield Beach High, she's put the sharpest decline. Deerfield Park experienced the sharpest decline, she wrote, at 30.1%, while Deerfield Beach High lost nearly 300 students. And she asks, what do you believe is driving this decline compared with nearby District 7 schools? And what specific measurable actions would you take to restore family confidence, strengthen programming, and prevent staffing cuts, consolidation, or school closure? She sounds like she's in the know somewhere in the school system.
She's firing them off at you, know?
Yes, and I know that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. But I mean, if you could sum it up in, you know, just a few words, if you can, you know.
Crystal Hayes, call me. You know, I've been in my role as a parent, as a volunteer, I've been extremely accessible to other parents. They know, they call me, and I don't work for the district, but they call me morning, they call me night, because I go to meetings with them. You know, if they need me to jump on a Zoom or attend an ESC meeting, or they're having an issue at their school, or they want me to attend that SAC and SAF meeting, I go. I go because I want them to feel supported. I go because I would rather have them choose Broward County Public Schools right? Versus leaving. I've walked many parents off the edge, but those are great questions. And I feel like there are multiple factors. What we see is a lot of our schools in certain neighborhoods have been neglected. The buildings are in disrepair. They don't always have the same resources. They don't always have the same programs. Even when you look at teacher year of experience, we have schools where 75% of their teachers are less than 3 years of experience in District 7, right? We've got to do better. We've got to do better. So it's multifaceted. I think that a lot of our schools have been neglected while others have been boosted. We know that, they're expanding Cambridge to all schools now. And it's great, but what you have now, especially since you do have school choice, people have the perception that certain schools are better. And we have to end that, right? But we contribute to that perception when we don't invest in the school's facilities. We perpetuate that perception when we don't invest in programs and resources for that school. And so parents go elsewhere, right? They have these programs elsewhere. This building looks nicer. They go there. We also look at CESAR incidents, those serious incident reporting. Some schools do a really great job of reporting those incidents, but then it looks bad for their school because they're factually reporting it. Where you have other schools that I know of incidents that have occurred, but don't see a CESAR incident for it. And so this is part of standardizing those processes as well, that transparency. These are all things that lend to the perception of a school, but this is also why we need to share with people the greatness that is actually happening in schools.
Right. Okay, Miss Dominique, in my
when I
closing,
see she mentioned suicide, listen.
Can you see her comments up there?
I just switched it now, and I'm just now.
Oh yeah, because she's putting them up there. Man.
She's putting some great comments up.
They're very good questions.
Right.
They're long and lengthy, but hopefully
you can get back with her. I know you said to call her.
Put your email address in there, Miss Hayes, Crystal Hayes. Put your email address in there, and I'm sure Miss Dominique could respond back to you personally if she gets a chance.
Listen, I know oftentimes people think it's, I'm asking. I don't mind the pushback, right? And as a board member, I don't mind the pushback. This is exactly the questions that I would advocate, and encourage parents to ask at their schools, because they would tell me, oh, my school is an A school. And I would take them to Edudata, and we'd look at that school report card, and I'd say, now let's look at the data. And what I would show them is look at achievement for your subgroups. Your students with disabilities, your school is a C school for those students. Your English language learners, you're a B school. Black students, you're a C school. And so they need to be able to dive deep into that data and bring that accountability at their schools. The other thing I would have them look at is the discipline data, right? And when we look at the discipline data, disproportionately, Black and Brown students suffer the majority of consequences. So we have to look at our discipline practices within schools and across the district. And it's not saying to abscond consequences for behavior, but we know that, when kids are young, we should be shaping and guiding so that they become productive members of society and not interact with the criminal justice system. Yeah. So we have plenty of opportunities. I love my kids' school. I think they're getting an amazing education. And when things are not right, I advocate and I work on solutions to fix them. But it's not enough for me to love my school when someone at a school down the street is having a vastly different experience. Every single one of our students, every single school, every single community should receive the same standard of excellence.
Yes, and Miss Crystal Hayes said one thing in her comment, and we went back up to see that comment, and it said, we see and hear candidates during the campaign. Following election, our parents/community could barely get a call. And that's something I hear as a candidate up here in Deerfield Beach. I hear the same thing, and I know I'm going to have to address that at some point myself, but I just wanted to see, did you want to address that?
You'll be able to get in touch with me. You're going to get sick of me. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, she's out here at the library again. She's walking in the neighborhood.
And you won't let your phone fill up, the voicemail fill up, so it don't take messages. You know how the politicians, they teach all the politicians the same thing. They said, you know, one of the things, if you don't want them to call you, just let your voicemail fill up and they can't leave you a message, you know? Yeah. And they tell, we've been told that by different politicians, you know?
So the great thing, Daryl, is I'm not a politician. I'm a mom. I'm a mom who saw a need. I'm a mom who's been involved. I'm a mom with 4 kids at Broward County Public Schools. I'm a mom who knew what it was like to not have somebody to stand in the gap for me. I'm a mom who wants to see change, because for not just my kids, but every single child in Broward County Public Schools, we know that education opens doors. And I'm a mom who's going to do the work and get the change that we want to see.
There you go. So
I seen one more.
I have a proven track record of collaborating with people. There was this term that I use in psych, Q-tip, quit taking it personal. I don't care if you like me or not. If I come to you because my community has an issue or I have a school that has an issue, we're going to have to work together to get it done. It's not about whether we like each other or not. It's about collaborating. We're still going to respect each other, and we're going to look for solutions. And I've done that already with district leadership. I've done that with school board members, and I will certainly continue to do that.
My closing question for you. It's like a 2-part question, if you can. What distinguishes you from the other candidates running for District 7? And if the voters remember only one thing about Cynthia Dominique when they cast their ballot, what do you hope that is?
So what distinguishes me is I don't work for Broward County Public Schools, but I decided to invest my time freely to its success, to advocate on behalf of students, to work on solutions so that we can see change. And because I want to see more of that change, this is why I'm here now running. So that is what distinguishes me. And then I have a breadth of experience. It's not just in the classroom. I have classroom experience. I teach at the university. I've been in those classrooms. I've been in schools, but I have a breadth of experience interacting with multiple departments on multiple initiatives, and I've gotten results. So whether it's budget, whether it's facilities, whether it's transportation, whether it's food and nutrition, whether it's student health services or safety and security, I've worked across these departments. I've done the homework to understand state statute, federal legislation, district policies, because when I want something to be successful and pass, I've got to make sure it's based on data, right? And not just emotion. And I've demonstrated that I'm committed to do the work. I've done it for free for almost 10 years. Many nights at meetings, many phone calls, many emails. I've poured my heart, my soul, my life into this district because I want it to succeed. I want public education to outlive every single one of us, because those that have a choice can leave. But many of our family members do not have a choice. So we want to make sure when they choose Broward County Public Schools, whether they wanted to or not, they're going to get a world-class education and they're going to get excellence. And so that's what I want people to remember is I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to show up. I won't take no for an answer. I will ask the hard questions. You will be able to reach me. But I'm going to do the work that it takes to make sure every single one of our children, our teachers, staff, and our public schools succeed.
All right. You have any final question for her before I close her out?
No. I just want to thank Ms. Dominique for coming on and being so candid and answering all the questions that we had. I just want to thank you.
I
And
might get myself in trouble.
no, you're not
No,
gonna.
you won't.
You
No,
were
you won't.
honest and you were candid, and
that's what people
looking
want. They
for.
they want honesty, and they don't want someone that's going to turn their phone off once they get your vote. You get their vote, and and they don't like that, and you were very straightforward, and we appreciate that.
Yes, we don't like people eluding our questions, and
yeah.
You were very open and candid, and we appreciate that.
So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to look in that camera. Look in the camera, and I want you to tell the voters of Broward County. I want you to tell them why they should elect Cynthia Dominique to the Broward County School Board District 7. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and also tell them how they could reach you on your social media handles and all that good stuff too. So 2 minutes.
Okay. Again, community neighbors, my name is Cynthia Dominique, Broward County School Board District 7. I'll be representing Margate, Coconut Creek, Deerfield, Lighthouse Point, Coconut Creek. Did I say Pompano, Hillsborough Beach? This isn't my seat. This is our seat. This seat belongs to the communities in District 7. We have an opportunity right now before us to get representation that will show up, that will do the work, that will ask the hard questions, and that will fight for change for every single child. Not just some, not just the wealthy, not just the ones that come from a certain background, but every single one of our kids in every single one of our communities will have representation. I will be accessible to you. I'm committed to doing the work. And, all I can ask is for your trust. Look at my track record. You can look at the minutes. You can look at school board meetings. Everything that I've ever advocated for is on public record. And I've demonstrated that because even during this campaign, I go to every single community. So you can look at my social media, you can ask people, and you can ask them who's showing up to every single community right now, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you speak English or not. I'm showing up. I'm showing up for you. Right?
And how could they reach you on, are you on social media, and how could they donate to your campaign?
So you can reach me at Cynthia for Broward Schools. That's on Facebook, Cynthia for Broward Schools. Please like, follow, share it. And then my website is cynthiaforbrowardschools.com, cynthiaforbrowardschools.com. If you can make a donation, every little bit helps. If you've got $1, that dollar can help me reach, 10 people, maybe 100 people. Every little bit helps. And the other thing that I need is volunteers. This is a grassroots campaign. I don't have the establishment behind me. I am fighting and I'm doing this. I'm not wealthy. I'm a servant. And I would absolutely love if every one of you all can partner with me. You can make phone calls. You can show up on early voting days. You can help on election day at sites, but we certainly need volunteers. I've had an overwhelming amount of support from community members, from leaders, from nonprofit organizations, from so many people. And it's just really been truly humbling and overwhelming. And I'm so thankful for every single bit of it. I don't take any of it for granted at all. So I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm thankful for the community. And, I ask for your support and your vote. Cynthia for Broward Schools is my website, as well as Facebook. And get involved, join the movement, and join change.
Early voting starts August 8th through the 15th. And the primary election is on August the 8th, 2026. Cynthia Dominique is again running for Broward County School Board, District 7, and she is asking you for your vote. And job well done. You did a very good job on the interview. We wish you luck and everything out there on the campaign trail. And when you win, make sure you come back and you talk to us and come back on the podcast. And
look, let's go ahead and set the date right now.
There you go.
You're gonna win. I feel like you're gonna win. You have the
You're
momentum.
very genuine, and that's what people are looking for. Stay that way, and you shouldn't have any problem winning. So, Cynthia Dominique, candidate for Broward County School Board District 7. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Miss Dominique,
for joining us here this afternoon. We know you have to get to your mommy duties. Thank you for joining us, and good luck.
No, I'm actually going to Pompano right now, so I'll be heading over to Pompano.
And I know we kept you on more than, but we had a lot of questions. So thank you for bearing with us and staying.
You were giving so many good answers. It's hard to let you go. So thank you, Ms. Dominique, and good luck to you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.